for a lot of us, getting in front of that camera is really, really awkward. I feel awkward right now saying that. You don't know where to put your hands, you freeze up, and you're making a weird face the whole time. How do you somehow always have a weird face on in those screenshots? It's true. This feeling of awkwardness, it's holding you back from using the most popular channel in marketing right now, video. I'm your host, Sarah Noel Block, and this is Tiny Marketing. Thank you for joining us today. We have Tanya Smith, who is the CEO and founder of Get Noticed with Video. And she's going to teach us about how to get comfortable getting in front of the camera confidently. And she's going to join me right now. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm just great. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you. It's been a long time in the works, and we finally found a time.
Yes.
And you,
So many things going on.
we're just two busy ladies, two busy CEOs. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I can do that. So my name is Tanya Smith, and I am, as Sarah already mentioned, the founder of Get Noticed with Video. And really what my favorite thing to do is to work with service providers. So typically I work with coaches, consultants, and course creators. And what I'm helping them to do is to leverage more on-camera content so that they can serve more people, stand out online, and sell more of their services. Because, if we're busy CEOs of our own companies, then we need to be able to sell, not just deliver content. And so I absolutely love doing that. Video has become a thing for me, but I did not start off that way, Sarah.
So tell me where you started now. Now I'm dying to know.
Yes. So first of all, I'm an introvert. So I got to give that background. I am the introvert who sits in the back of the room, with the networking that we used to do in person a lot. Like there were lots of organizational events and things like that, especially here in Dallas. I don't know about where you are, but
I'm in Chicago. Big
okay,
networking.
So
AMA's located here. Always something going on.
Yes. So I would be that person who would kind of sit there and not quite know what to say or who to talk to. So I have to say that because I think a lot of times people see video marketers or folks that do video and they think automatically that you have to be an extrovert. You have to be, naturally gifted at speaking out on camera. And that was never me. When I started my business, when I first started engaging in some type of business activity, because it's really morphed over the years, but it was about 14 years ago. And back then I could literally just go on Twitter, send out a tweet and do a teleseminar, like fill up a teleclass where I could talk on the phone. It was audio only. And I loved that. Even when I first started doing anything with sales, because I actually got the idea of being in business for myself by doing a direct sales type of business first, which I was scared of, but I was thinking, I'm being sold on this idea of freedom. And in the process of selling in this direct sales company, I would throw flyers at people's doors and then drive off because I didn't want to talk to people.
Please don't open the door.
Don't open the door because I don't want you to have to talk with me. So I have to say all that as far as just a little context, because I really realized that video was a thing just a couple of years ago. Just a short couple of years ago, I realized that I either had to, because I was seeing that my social media post and my reach on things like my Facebook page was going nowhere. It just dried up. And I had to make a decision. If I wanted to continue to be in business, I had to do something dramatic, something that a lot of other people may not do. And I kept hearing the social media platforms say, do live video, do live video, do video, do video. And finally, I decided, okay, I've got to get out of my shell and I'm going to make a commitment to try it and see what happens. And so my trial was for an entire year to get on camera, in spite of the fear, to get on camera and do a live stream at least once or twice a week for an entire year. And after I did that, it changed so much. So it changed my business, it changed me personally, and it gave me growth that I didn't even imagine I would, experience. So,
Well, that answers one of the questions I was just going to ask. There's 1,000 different ways you could use video for your business. There's Loom videos where you could send clients those videos. There's sales videos where you can send it with your like LinkedIn connection, for example, or your email. Live stream, pre-recorded videos. There's just a ton you can do with it. And I was wondering which you specialize in. So I would say marketing videos, live streams.
yes. Yes, I love live video now, but I did not love it initially. That's for sure. All the things that you're saying, those were what I tried first. Like, let me do slide decks and I'll just voice over.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just lose that connection with your audience when your face isn't showing up. I mean, for myself, I noticed the same thing where, like, actually the day that I started my business like full time is also the day I did my first live stream, and then I did them every single week. And I have never, I mean, knock on wood, but I haven't struggled getting clients. And I think that it has a lot to do with, getting in front of that video and having people have the opportunity to get to know me that way at scale.
Yes. Yes. There's this thing about engaging with people on a personal level and just really showing who you are, and that the transparency that you can make mistakes, right? You can be on camera and the doorbell's ringing and the dogs happen to bark in the background, or, given the last year or so, your baby's crying, whatever is happening, it's all part of a real experience. And I just think video, especially live video, helps to humanize our brands. And it's right now it's at a time where people are craving connection. They want relationship. They want you to really get to know them and to know you as a person and not just another number.
Yeah, that's a really good point, is that it is a way to be able to connect when you can't be there in person. And it's also a way you can connect when you aren't naturally extroverted. You have a hard time approaching someone at these networking events. You don't have to approach them in video, but they still have the opportunity to get to know you.
Yes, absolutely.
So when you reached out initially, you were telling me about the 3 biggest myths about getting in front of the camera. Let's hear what those myths are.
Awesome. Okay. So this is like my happy place to be able to talk about this because because this whole idea of confidence and whether you have it or you don't, or you're a natural at being on camera, I found that there are a lot of things that people believe that are just not truths. So I'll start with number 1. And the first myth that I heard was that you can only really do live stream video. You can only get on camera, even if it's not live, but it's a pre-recorded going as live. But putting your face on camera has to come naturally. It has to be a gift that you just are born with. I would hear all the time that people were either born with it or they're not. And I would debunk that.
Yeah.
because it is a learned thing. I think that confidence isn't something that you have to be born with, but it is something that you can build and you can grow and you can seed. The more you do, the more you create a habit out of things that you do that you otherwise would never have done. So just by nature of getting on camera, for instance, every week for an entire year, I didn't start off confidently. I didn't start off with confidence. And I think that confidence is not a destination. I think it is a journey. So that first myth is that you have to be born with it. I say no.
I agree with you. You should see how awkward I am in my first couple of live streams.
Yeah.
It's practice. Like everything else, it takes practice to get used to being in front of the camera and know how to talk to people.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I think for any of us, for you, for me, for anyone who's starting out, you're probably not going to be happy with your first
So
several.
just do it. Don't rewatch it. Just do
Do
it.
it. Don't even look at it. And if you do look at it, don't delete it because it probably had some nuggets in there that somebody's going to want to know and hear, and they need it. So
Mhm.
give yourself a little grace on that. So that's number one. The second one is that, well, once I have it, I no longer have to do anything else, right, to keep it.
Yeah.
And I would say that, sometimes, again, that whole line about confidence being a journey, it's not a destination, it's like an ongoing thing. Even when I get on camera today, Sarah, to be honest with you, I still get anxious right before going on. Right? I still have the butterflies. There's still things that I feel a little nervous about, like, oh, what if this goes wrong? And guess what? Things do go wrong.
It's
They
not the end of
can.
the world.
You will live, you will survive, you will thrive through it. I've had whole videos where I got on camera and for the first 20 minutes, it was on mute. And people were trying to tell me in the comments, we can't hear you, right? And I just saw the numbers dropping and I was like, well, why are the numbers? Where are people going? What's happening? And finally looked at the comments and went, ah.
Ah, shoot.
So just know that the anxiety, the nerves, it's not that they'll always just go away. You still may have them, but what you'll do as you build on your confidence and you build the habit of being on camera, it gets easier. You start to create flow. You start to create structure around how you do things. When I first started, I definitely didn't have the setup I have today. Now I've gotten to the point to where I know where things are on my desk. I know where things are on my desktop so that I can maneuver and manage the whole, setup. The whole way that I go live is different now than it was 2 years ago. So just know that you'll grow and that you'll continue to build on the confidence, but you can't just do it once and then come back to it 6 months later and expect that things will be what they were. It's about creating the habit. So the consistency is important.
Yeah.
So the third and final one I would say is people say that you need to have it before you go on camera, that you need to have confidence, you need to be perfected. So you need to just practice with yourself, by yourself, until you feel like you're ready to go. And I would say, again, that building on your confidence is habit driven. It's about you putting yourself out there, putting the toe in the water. And yeah, the first couple of times you might get on and you might just go live for yourself. You can create a setting, especially if you're doing it in Facebook. You can have a setting that just says only me, only I can see this. But at some point, you're going to need to step out, because once you turn the camera on and just bare yourself to the viewers that are most likely to watch and to engage, even if they watch the replay, by the way, because a lot of people watch replays, the more you practice, the more confident you'll become. The more you practice as though it's real and as though you have 1,000 people who are on the other end, even if there's nobody and it's crickets, the more you do that, the better you get.
Yeah. And I would say the majority of the watches happen in the rewatch. So the amount of people actually joining you live, it's not super intimidating. And it's likely people who already know you.
That's
They're like,
right.
oh, Tanya's on. All right.
Uh-huh. Right.
You're already fans of yours if they're joining live.
That's right. That's exactly right. So those are my 3 myths debunked, I hope.
Yeah, I like those. So I'm curious, how do people get more comfortable besides practice? What are some ways that they can, some tricks maybe, that they can get more confident on camera or appear confident?
I would give a couple of things. One thing that I'll share, one tip or a piece of advice that I would give is, when you create your environment, be aware of the things that you're putting around yourself for comfort, right? It's sort of like making sure that you just aren't putting yourself in a situation where you're going to feel that fear and feel that anxiety to the fullest. So, what I mean is, when you first are starting out, you probably don't want to take your smartphone because that may be what you're starting with. You probably don't want to take your phone and go out into a public arena, like, go outside where there's a bunch of people that are walking around and potentially getting in your camera
Watching.
because and they're watching and judging, right? Don't start off setting yourself up for not being successful. Start off by ensuring that you have created a space for yourself. I like to call it a sacred space. And so for me, one of the things that I did is I got my favorite candle. And this is funny, but it reminds me, this candle it has sort of like a Fruit Loop smell.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's got a fruity smell to it, but this is for me, right? So you got to do what's for you. But I wanted this scent in my space when I was recording because it reminded me of my grandma. It reminded me of growing up with grandma and sitting at the cereal table and talking to her, about how my day was going to be, like what I saw
like that
coming up for my day. And so what gives you good vibes? Like surround yourself with a few of those things. And it may not be a candle, maybe it's your favorite pillow or maybe it's a little, figurine or something that you have in front of you that no one else can see. But give yourself a safe space to record. That's one of the tips I would give. Another really simple tip is always have some type of purpose and intention. I know I'm not telling you to have like a full-blown script written out because if you do that, you're going to be reading and it won't look good. But if you create like a short little mini outline, let me know if we need a break. You good?
Sorry, I have a scratch in my throat.
Yeah, please get yourself some water, girl.
Sorry.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
We're recording this. I can cut this out.
Exactly. That's why I paused. I thought she might want to. Okay. But are you doing okay?
Yeah.
A little scratch? Okay. All right. Let me see. Where was I? I was going to give a tip about outlines.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's tip number 2, and that is to not write out a full out script, but to have some intention and purpose behind what you're going to say on camera. If you write out a script, you're going to read, and that just is not a good look for live streaming.
It looks so awkward, and I
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, oh, she's reading, and then people will just get turned off.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to present yourself as someone who knows what you're talking about, you're wanting to present yourself as an expert and as a pro in what you deliver. And so I suggest typically to just kind of do a quick outline. And here's a simple way to do it. If you have a ring light or you have your camera directly in front of you, you literally can take a couple of sticky notes and put like point number 1, point number 2, and point number 3, right? So that you don't miss a beat and okay, these are the things I want to talk about. I've even had some of my clients do this on their smartphone. They just have the little mini sticky notes.
Yeah, that's so smart. I always have a dock open, but then, I'm looking at different monitors. I like the sticky note idea.
Yes, because it doesn't it's sticking right there and you can replace them easily, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing. I actually use a doc myself. I use an outliner tool called Workflowy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because I have this whole structured flow thing going on. So I want to make sure when I'm doing my live stream that I don't forget certain parts of it. But if you're new, you don't need to know all that. You just need to know that you want to be intentional about what you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So you
it's easy to go on tangents when you're live because you just forgot what you're going to say and you're like,
Yes.
That outlet helps a lot.
Oh, so
Oh
those
my,
are a couple of tips. I hope
yeah,
that
I
helps.
like those. I like those. And what about tips for like appearing confident? Like knowing what to do with your hands and how to look at the camera.
So hands has been a big deal for me in the past. And sometimes it still is, because I tend to talk with my hands, and you've probably seen it even in this video.
I
There have
do
been
too.
times. So look, I don't think it's a big deal unless it becomes a distraction from your message. And so one of the things that I typically try to encourage people to do is to do live by yourself, go back and look at it. I know we said don't look at it, but yeah, you want to kind of look at it. And you also may want to have like a bestie, somebody who is constructively critiquing so that they can tell you, hey, girl, your eyes roll a lot. Like maybe you want to focus on one thing or don't get distracted and be thinking about 1,000 things at once. Or they will tell you, hey, your hands, kind of keep control of those hands. And one thing, honestly, that I did to kind of keep myself from being so handsy is to hang on to a pen. Have something that you have in your hand so that you're less likely to be moving it around. But I hang on to a pen, and I actually have a little notepad next to me, because sometimes as I'm doing a live, there are going to be people that are asking questions that I don't want to miss. And I'll just make a small note that only I understand. Nobody can understand this chicken scratch, right? But even that, the act of having some kind of in my background, I'm thinking, yeah, I want to make a quick note about that, or draw a little doodle that keeps me from moving my hands around. Now, over time, that has not been as big of an issue for me, but starting out, it was something, it was a thing. And you really are only going to know if you and your constructively critiquing friend tell you that at first, so that you can find ways that work for you. You
Yeah.
mentioned also looking directly into the camera.
Yeah. I that is a question for myself. I'm always looking at the people I'm talking to, and I hardly ever look in the camera.
Yes. There is here's another little trick with sticky notes. I ought to like put stock in sticky notes. But there's these little sticky notes that look like arrows. And you literally can take that and just put that arrow directly pointing towards the center of the lens of your camera, right? So if you're I used for a long time a Logitech webcam, which is just a USB webcam that you can connect to your laptop. A lot of people have those. So right on the side of it where the Logitech words are, just put that sticky note right there, pointing the arrow so that you remember to look directly into the center.
Yeah.
I now use a bigger DSLR camera, so one of the Sonys, and I don't need to do it anymore. But if I were teaching someone to go that route, same thing, a little sticky note that's pointing, hey, look here, until you get used to looking at the center of that camera. Because
Mhm.
yeah, it's a habit again that you're going to have to you adjust and you adapt to, but nobody starts off looking directly at the camera. That's a fact.
It's a little bit easier if you're doing a live stream by yourself and it's just you there. But when you're talking to other people or you're reading comments on the side of a live stream, it's so easy to, look at the screen that has the dashboard that has everything on it,
Mm-hmm.
or, a dock over on the other side.
Yeah. A couple of my clients did invest in something called a plexicam, though, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
The plexicam, apparently it attaches. I don't have one because I don't really need it at this point, but they found it useful. It attaches to your monitor. And so it can move your camera to a specific point on your screen. And it has kind of like this transparency. So that might be something for people who really see it as a problem to look for it. But it has this transparency so that you can still see the screen, but your camera is like where it needs to be positioned. So if you're looking at your screen, it still looks like you're looking at the camera.
I've never heard of that before. I
Mhm.
take it though. And I might be one of those people who need that. So what would you say is the biggest business benefit of getting yourself in front of the camera?
Oh gosh. I could tell you for me what it's been. And I think that this applies to most of the folks that I've worked with. Live streaming has led to the ability to get more visibility because, again, going back to the whole idea that social media platforms are asking for it. Like they want you to live stream. And
Yeah.
why?
Oh, have it now.
Yeah, they all have it because it keeps people on their space longer. So I call it feeding the beast. If you're giving them what they want, they're going to give you what you want, which is more visibility. They're going to push you up in the feed and prioritize your content because it's what they asked you to do and it's keeping people on their spaces longer. So absolutely, live streaming has been a benefit because of the visibility, which is then turned into leads, which is turned into paying clients. So one of the things, yeah, I mean, right, which is a plus because that's what we're here for is to serve and also so that we can grow our businesses and we can survive and we can feed our families, right?
Yeah.
So huge benefit in that regard, huge.
So how can people find you online?
The best way, I'll give you two links. One is my website, and that's probably the best place to go and kind of see what we're up to is getnoticedwithvideo.com. But then I also share out streamlikeaboss.tv. And the reason I share that particular channel is because it lists all the social media platforms where we go live each and every week. So getnoticedwithvideo.com and streamlikeaboss.tv are my two favorite spaces to play.
Very nice. Is there a social media that you are on more often than the others?
Yeah, my Facebook is typically going to be where I'm spending the most time because I do a Facebook Live every week, along with spending time with my community over there. So, Stream Like a Boss on Facebook is the group, and Get Noticed with Video is the page.
All right. Stream Like a Boss.
Yeah, that's our community. That's where we hang out and get people, engaged in doing more video, get them more comfortable, build on the confidence that we've been talking about. So it's a lot of fun.
That's great. And how can people work with you?
If you go to Get Noticed with Video, you'll see a page that's called a Programs tab. And so depending on where you are, and I'll tell you, I kind of see people at different levels, at different points in their journey with video. So I usually encourage people first to join the free group on Facebook because then we'll get to see if you really, really are engaging. You feel like, hey, I am committed to learning more. And then we'll offer from there some other opportunities, which you can kind of see laid out on my website. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So it's like a coaching opportunity.
Yes, I do provide coaching. I have actually I have something called an academy, Stream Like a Boss Academy, or Stream Bosses Academy. And there we do group coaching, but I also offer one-on-one strategies and coaching that's more personalized to my clients and their business because everyone's niche is a little different. So depending on the needs, which we kind of assess as we're kind of talking through and the different ways that we send people up the chain, the best way is through the community first. And then you can decide if the academy or if private coaching is better for you.
All right. Very nice. All right. My last question.
Okay.
Do you have any books, YouTube channels, or other resources that our audience might want to look at to better understand video marketing and how to get in front of the camera more confidently?
Absolutely. My YouTube channel is also Stream Like a Boss with Tanya Smith. So if you look us up on YouTube, actually you can just type in youtube.com/Tanya Smith.
Okay.
And when you go there, you'll find that there's several different playlists where we talk about strategies and we talk about how to get comfortable on camera. We talk about tools because I'm a geek. So I love to talk about recommendations for digital tools and the best type of equipment to use and apps and all of that stuff.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Sarah. It's been great.
Yes. Talk to you soon. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was amazing talking to Tanya and learning more about how to get on video confidently. So what are your takeaways today? For me, I'm going to go to her YouTube channel and check out what kind of tech that I need to improve my own live streams.